Good morning, Oakwood. It's Monday, May 4th. Welcome back to the 6th day of sketching. So good to have you with me today. Hopefully you've been sketching a lot. I'm coming to you today from my home studio, and I wanted to talk a little bit about home studios before we get drawing. So a home studio can be anything, right? Might be your dining room table, might be your living room couch, maybe your bedroom, maybe your bed, maybe a table or a drawing table you've set up. Can be anywhere. And for many, many years, I had a studio of my own. It was called Primitive Soul Art Studio, and it was 1,300 square feet. So for me, that's pretty big. It's as big as some houses are. And I was really fortunate to have it. And I worked really hard to have that studio. And it was a community studio where people would come in and do art therapy and do classes, do open studio times. A lot of things happen there. And it was all mine. With as many supplies as you could possibly imagine. And I have the ability to fill up spaces very, very quickly. So I had a very big studio. And then as I had a family, I couldn't manage a studio and other work and raising babies at the same time. So I left my studio, I closed it, and dispersed all of my things. Some of my things came home with me. Many of my things were given away. And I continued on this art therapy journey. So now today I have a very small private practice office. It's about 400 square feet. It's very small. It has a sink and a countertop, a table, and my art supplies, very small amount of art supplies. And that's what I have. And then of course at Oakwood, I'm really fortunate to be able to work in the Tabor studio as well as in the Oaks. And those are pretty cool spaces. I really am particular to the Tabor studio because it's so warm and inviting, and I really like working in there. So you'll see some of the videos are coming out of Tabor Art Studio. So when you can get out, come visit me in Tabor Art Studio and we'll make some art together. So now I have a very tiny little studio here at home. It's very tiny. It's where I'm working today. My daughters, who are 6 and 9, have had their own studio next door to this room for the last 5 years. So they're really lucky that they have their own studio, and I'm really jealous of them. So maybe one day again I'll have my own studio that's as nice as theirs, and maybe not. So someday I will show you their studio and we'll do some work in there. So today, in your home studio, whatever that might be, it might be a tiny space like I'm working in, it might be a TV tray, it might be whatever you have, and that is great. It might be your lap, because that's a lot of times where my studio is, right on my lap. It might be outdoors, maybe you're outdoors later today with your sketchbook. That can be your studio. The world is your studio. So today we're talking about, we are on number 2 on our sketchbook ideas. Remember I said we're going to skip around a lot, and today is draw how you feel. And so I don't know about you and how you're feeling. I hope you're doing good. But I've been feeling really heavy lately, really weighted down by everything that's going on, or maybe isn't going on in our world. And so I've been feeling stuck. And when I think of feeling stuck and weighted and large, I think of my daughter's fascination with dinosaurs. And I hear all about dinosaurs. She's a real dinosaur, I guess a paleontologist. So dinosaur scientist, and so I'm learning all about dinosaurs through her. And so I think about a brontosaurus, and when I think about how I'm feeling. But today I borrowed her brachiosaurus. She's informed me it's not a brontosaurus, a brachiosaurus, and I'm going to work from that. So sometimes I work from models, images, and sometimes I work from my memory and imagination. So today I'm working from model brachiosaurus or brontosaurus. I also wanted to show you my art supplies. I told you before we can keep them simple, but I have a great uncle who bought me this fantastic art kit, and so I'm going to work from that today. It's really a child grade supply kit. It's fantastic. It's beautiful, but the supplies in it, aren't as good as more expensive supplies, but it's beautiful, and I'm so grateful to have it. So today I'm going to draw how I'm feeling, and I feel like a bit like this guy, pretty pretty big and heavy. So I'm going to draw right here. I'm going to let you work with me as we go. So whatever you're feeling, I hope that you will draw it too. So each time I draw, I am just going to get it started because I'm never quite happy with the first sketch I make. I can tell already I've shortened the tail a little too much, and the tail is really important to these big dinosaurs, so I'm gonna wrap that around. You can't probably see this very good, but I am doing my best to make this dinosaur. And so even though there isn't much going on in our lives in terms of socialization and being together, I feel like there's a lot of chaos in our lives and that uncertainty. So I am going to, after I draw my dinosaur here, my big dinosaur, I'm going to look at leg placement. I am going to add some chaos because I feel like a lot of the time I'm feeling a little bit in the dark. So I think I'm going to add a dark forest. I'm just sketching that in. I'm going to go over this in pen or marker so that you can see it, because right now I see it probably isn't real clear, and I'm just going to add these lines just so that you can see them. And then when I go into it later, I'm going to add more defined lines. I'm going to add shading and detail. But once I commit to this marker, I'm kind of stuck with these lines. However, I can change the lines by adding more or adding texture to them or adding different defined lines. So I've got my, forgot a leg, got my Brontosaurus started here. When I think about the Brontosaurus, I would think about how loud it would sound and how heavy its steps would be. I'm not sure, if my daughter were here, she'd tell us how much they weigh and how much they eat, how much they would have eaten, but she's not, so I'm just going to assume they weighed many, many, many tons, and they ate a whole lot, which is kind of how my life is going right now. I feel pretty heavy, weighted down, and I'm sure eating a lot when we're stuck inside. So remember, I'm going to add a lot of darkness, forest, chaos. I don't know what it's going to all look like when we're done, but I'll show you tomorrow on Tuesday what I've come up with. So that is how I'm feeling today, like a big, heavy, weighted down Brontosaurus. And a Brontosaurus probably didn't feel so big, heavy, and weighted down. That's what they were used to. But if I think of a metaphor for how I'm feeling, this is pretty close. I want to create more darkness and more lots of chaos in there. I don't know how I'll do that. Maybe I'll add some swirls. So I'm pulling out some oil pastels right now, and I think I'm just gonna, to get that started, I'm just gonna add that chaos. And I might play around with the color because we have no idea. My daughter tells me, well, we make some assumptions about the colors of dinosaurs. This one, they assumed it was blue, this Brachiosaurus. But I'm going to play around with the color of what my Brontosaurus could be as I'm working on this more and more. So as you get started today, I'll also make this same sketch in my sketchbook, and I'll also bring the camera a little closer so you can see, because I realize it might be pretty faint. I'll bring it closer so you can see the image that I've made. Thanks for being patient with me, and as I get used to filming, and I want to get better at filming so that you can see as I draw. So the days will get better, and I'll be more in touch with using the camera right so that you can see as I draw, because I know that that is important as we work. But hopefully you have started your drawing and your sketchbook is really coming to life. So I will see you tomorrow, and thanks so much for being with me.